So welcome, folks. This is the Silver Duke of Edinburgh Award Assessed Expeditions, and we've got two groups of people here. We've got some of you that's starting your expedition at the end of next week, and some at the end of the week after. So some of you are starting at the end of June, and some of you are starting in July, but the information is just about the same. Your start and end locations are slightly different. So really welcome. Brilliant that there's so many of you managed to join us on a gorgeous, warm, hot day. And for those of you who are doing your expedition starting on the 25th of June, if you've looked at the calendar, we've got rain starting tomorrow, but finishes next Thursday, so that your expedition at the moment starts in the dry, but be prepared. So aim of this meeting, I want to talk about the aim of it, then of course the DofE 20 conditions, that's what you're being assessed on, the skills checklist, the COVID requirements, we don't have a choice about those, your kit and equipment, some of you are borrowing it, your food, your cooking and your stoves. We just want to confirm the start and end locations. We'll talk about rules and mobile phones, and then I'll answer any questions that are in the chat box. So hopefully by the end of it, you will know all that you need to do for a successful and happy expedition. So the aim of the meeting is so that you will need what you need to do to be prepared for your expedition. Okay, so all the stuff that you need to do to be prepared is what I want to go through, and at the end of the meeting I want you to be prepared for a really happy and successful expedition. So you are doing your silver assessed canoe expedition. So it's assessed on the Duke of Edinburgh Award 20 conditions. And I know we go on and on and on about them, but at least you know what you're being assessed on. And we did have one group last year that didn't keep to the 20 conditions despite us warning them, and therefore they got deferred. And we don't want that to happen to you. We want people to pass. And if you are at risk of not being successful, we will keep informing you. So let's go through the ones here that are important. Your team must plan and organize your expedition and describe the role you have played. So that's quite interesting because it starts off with you and your team, but then it's also you as an individual. So that's quite hard now because a lot of what we've been doing has been done as individuals. It's your tent, it's your cooking, it's your stove, but actually you are part of a team, whether it's 4 or 6 or 8 people. And therefore you're working together. And if someone's struggling to put up the tent, then the expectation is you're a team, you're going to help them. If someone's struggling to light their stove or someone's a bit slower in the morning, you're going to help them carry their barrels. So you're going to work together as a team. But at the end, the assessor is going to want to know, what have you done? What role have you played in making your expedition successful? Okay, really important. Next one, your expedition must have an aim. Now, everyone has put an aim on their route card, so thank you for getting those into us. If you want to change it, that's fine. We had some great aims on the ones that we've had so far. So we had some people that were doing different group work activities the whole way down the river. So they each person came up with a different activity, and then at different points of the day, they then did that they did that activity. We had people doing yoga. Some of the gold group were doing yoga coming down the river. Some lot were taking photos of bridges and then talking about the history of when those bridges were done. Some people are looking at the impact of humanity on the environment and taking photos of all the things that they think have changed over the last 2,000 years. Whatever it is, you need to have an aim, and you need to make sure that it's something that is easy for you to do, well, to make life easy for yourself, easy for you to do a presentation on at the end. Okay, so the assessor will want to know what your aim is. It doesn't have to be a group aim. It can be an individual aim. You can do something different from the other people in your group, but you need to have an aim. Okay, next one, silver your expedition is a minimum of 3 days, 2 nights and 7 hours of activity. The route you've planned, unless the river is flowing very fast and the wind is definitely with you all the way, it will take you 7 hours on the first 2 days. It will take you more, and therefore the last day, it's okay, that's a bit shorter. Okay. So just to remind both you and parents, your expeditions are unaccompanied, self-sufficient and properly equipped. So unaccompanied, we do meet you at certain places. And certainly on the first day, there are lots of locks to go through. So we will support you going through the locks, okay? But for the rest of it, you're on your own, which is why you need to be properly equipped, okay? And if you come on expedition and you're not properly equipped, then you won't be keeping one of the 20 conditions, and you also wouldn't be safe. So we would have to ask for your folks to come and collect you. You're also self-sufficient, so everything you put into your bag Everything you bring with you is what you need for the 3 days. If you forget your tent poles, you'll just have to come up with a plan. What you can't do is go shopping. Okay, so you need to work together to make sure you're sufficient, which is why planning for your expedition now, you've got just over a week to get it. You've got time to get it sorted so that you're ready, so that you have everything you need for a self-sufficient, properly equipped expedition. So teams must possess necessary fitness, first aid, expedition skills to complete the expedition safely. So you were trained last year. If you have a look into the silver drop box, you will see that there's a skills checklist there, and you'll be able to go through that checklist and make sure that all the things we taught you last year you can still remember. And if you can't remember it, we've created a YouTube. So there's Joy of Adventure YouTube, and you can go and look. There are a whole load of different videos on how to pack the boat and what do you need to bring and what about different sorts of foods, so that if you can't remember things, you can then remind yourself by looking at our YouTube. Okay. Some of the other conditions are you must adhere to the group mobile phone policy. Really, really important and quite difficult. People find it quite hard because you have your phones with you all the time normally, and you phone whoever you like, and you're looking on Facebook or whatever it is, social media you're using. You need to make sure that you only use your phone. The phone is only on, the emergency phone is only on while you're going down the river. You don't need it on at the campsites, we'll be there. And that you don't use the phone for anything but phoning Rod or me in case of an emergency. We are going to ask you to download the grid reference app. You'll be able to find that in your app store, because if something goes wrong, sometimes people are panicking and they can't remember how to do a grid reference, and this will help you to tell us exactly where you are. So if you could download the grid reference app, that would be wonderful. So one phone is the emergency phone. The other phone is in the bottom of a barrel, not needed, okay, not used unless the battery runs out on the first one. Number 16, participants must behave with respect, of course. Now, we've never had an issue with people behaving with respect, but that's just one of the DofE 20 conditions, whether it's respect of the environment, not littering. We did have a goal group who left a bag of rubbish at the end. You take all your rubbish away. And particularly at the end at Chesterton, those of you who are finishing at Chesterton, well, you're in public view. Really important that you behave with respect to the people around you. On that day, it's a Sunday, there will be lots of people going up and down the river, both canoers and rowers. So behaving with respect, even when they aren't on the right side of the river, you need to be on the right side of the river. We did have an email from somebody last time we came down with the other half of your group who did their expedition a few weeks ago, to say how well behaved this gentleman thought the group was, and how organized they were. So that was real compliment for all of those. So respect of the environment and of us, and of each other, really important. Countryside code, of course, so you don't leave any litter anywhere. When you stop to have a break on the river or your campsite, or at the end, all the litter that's there you take away. Let's make the world a better place because you've paddled through it. Okay, and definitely at the end you need to take your rubbish away, and not leave it in the bins at the end. We produce too much rubbish, and therefore it just makes the whole place look untidy. The best thing would be for you to get rid of the rubbish before you come on expedition. So take the excess packaging off your food. Don't plan to bring food that's got lots of packaging on it. I can't believe that every piece of plastic that's ever been produced in the world is still in the world. So let's try and reduce that. Number 18, you should plan and cook appropriate food each day. Different people like different things, that's obvious. So you need to bring the food that you're going to enjoy eating. Have a look at our YouTube. We've done a whole load of, I think it's 4 different YouTube films on breakfast and lunch and snacks and the principles and all the rest of it. You remember hopefully what you cooked last year. You probably saw other people and what they had. So just make sure that you bring food you're going to enjoy cooking. Participants must actively participate in the debrief, at the end, before you know if you've passed, before you can use your phone to communicate with your parents, you need to take part in the debrief. And then finally, you need to do a presentation. Okay, normally that's done to somebody other than to us because it's too complicated. It's much easier if you do to somebody who's friendly in your school, some teacher who'd be happy to let you do it. Okay, so they're the 20 conditions. That's what you're assessed on. If you keep those, at the end we will then say, congratulations, you've passed, well done, fantastic. And that's what happened to the 28, I think we had, who did it from various schools a couple of weeks ago in half term. And they had a horrible weather on the first day and then glorious weather after that. So hopefully we will then say congratulations to you. Now, we've still got COVID with us, unfortunately, but we're very aware of that, and we want to keep both you and us safe. So these are the things that we have to put in place. Because we've put them in place, Visit England have given us their We're Good to Go kite mark, which we're very proud of. We're pleased to get that. But these are the things that we've still got to do. So unless you are in the same family, then you will need to camp socially distanced, just like you did on your practice expedition. That's 2 meters apart. Okay. As this is your assessed expedition, we're not going to keep telling you to move. All right. You just need to do it because that's part of you being responsible. Okay. We'll warn you. But there's no point in us keeping going on telling you need to learn it yourselves. Okay. So it is individual tents. If you are borrowing tents from us, hopefully the list is now complete. If you haven't signed the Google form, you need to do so by tonight. I will be going through it tomorrow. Okay, so if you're borrowing tents from us, then you need to make sure that you look at, there's going to be a link I'm going to send you on how to put the tent up, and it's essential that you look at that link. We're not going to be charging you for using the tents. Okay, those of you who are part of the Cambridge Academic Partnership or the United Learning, we're not going to charge you for them, but if you lose or break anything, then we will have to charge you for that. Okay, so individual cooking, yep, this is the same with cooking. If you're borrowing a stove from the school, those of you at the Cambridge Academic Partnership or United Learning, you need to make sure that all the bits are there, they're all numbered. We will give them to you, and when you hand them back, they are spotlessly clean. Okay, but also it's individual stoves and individual cooking, and we will tell you what sort of gas you need to bring if you're borrowing one. Hand wash, yes, you need your own hand wash kit. The only thing that's not in that photo are doggy bags or nappy sacks. If you're going to go to the toilet while you're going down the river, you need to put your toilet paper into the bag. Some people have thought, oh, can't we just dig a hole and hide it? Well, the problem with digging a hole with toilet paper is that it takes a long time for the toilet paper to disintegrate. What you've the rest of it is environment, it will just rot away, but toilet paper takes a long time and it just litters the environment. It's horrible. So we'll ask you to take that away, put it into a nappy sack, and then you can put it into the toilets when you get to the campsite. So the other things in the COVID stuff is that your paddles are numbered and your buoyancy aid is numbered. So both with the paddles, you're not going to leave them on the ground. They're always going to be in your boat as the safest place to put them. And your buoyancy aid, you're not going to sit on. Boats are numbered as well, so that you can always have the same boat, which would just risk transfer of infection. Okay. Just to kind of remind you here, so we're saying personal tents, camping and cooking equipment, individual food, your hand gel, label it, because everyone brings the same type and therefore you don't know which is yours. Face mask, yeah, if you're helping somebody put up a tent, or if you need to get closer than 2 meters, we recommend you putting on a face mask. Soap in a labeled container. Hard soap is much better than liquid soap. It's less plastic. Plastic tub, washing up bowl is suitable. If you put a lid on it, then you can put things in it. And then this is really, really important. 2 large mouth water containers containing at least 2 litres of water. Okay, because we can't get to you. There's some of the sections you're on is quite remote. We will give you a 5-litre container of water per group, but you need to arrive at the start of your expedition with water, okay? Because you're going to set off and you need to make sure you've got water with you. And then the last thing here is you must have a permanent marker and you must have waterproof maps. And we'll come on to talking about marking them. You need to have your maps marked as the start of your expedition, okay? So Google form, all right, the COVID Google form we will send out to you. Okay, I made an error on the form that you may have read so far, saying that you needed the expensive test. No, we don't need the expensive test. It's the one that you can get for free. So we need you to take that we need you to have had that 48 hours beforehand, when hopefully it's negative. If it's not negative, you can't come on expedition. And also the COVID form will ask you to confirm that you won't attend if you've had positive symptoms or been with someone who's positive symptoms in the last 14 days. So really important. I live just outside of Bottisham and was meant to be running canoeing on Monday night for a group of young people in the village, and one of them, somebody in their school, had COVID, so they couldn't go on expedition. So COVID is out there and people are getting it. Young people are getting it. So please, please, please take the test. If you've got symptoms, please don't come. Okay. So getting ready for your expedition, you need to get your kit ready. Okay. So that you've got the kit list. On the YouTube, there's an explanation. So you need to check what the weather's doing. If the weather is good, that then may affect what you're bringing with you, but do check it, because the last time some people thought the weather was going to be good, and then after they were on the river for about an hour, it then chucked it down with rain, and rained all day until they got to the campsite. Luckily it was warm rain, but some of them got very wet. So you need to check that you've got your kit ready. So all the kit's going to go into those blue barrels. Try and have as little as possible that's not going into the barrels. So stuff that doesn't matter if it gets wet. You really want to try and get everything you can into the blue barrels, and then just your stuff for the day. Okay. You can start planning your food. So decide what you like to eat. Plan cooking it. If you're borrowing a stove from us, then you won't be able to practice cooking it on the stove, but you could cook it on your stove at home. At least then you know that it works, and you know how much food you need and all the rest of it. You can get your aim sorted. Are you going to borrow a camera? Are you going to get an oxygen meter? What are you going to do for your aim? Are you going to plan your group activities? Are you going to do geocaching, and therefore you can work out already on the map where the different geocaches are? So choice is yours, but you need to get it organized. This is your expedition. Okay. Where are we up to now? Okay, maps. Okay, really, really, really important. Every person needs a map. Each group, you need to have 2 proper maps in your group. Okay, I've sent you the map numbers. If you are printing off your maps, you're laminating them from eDofE, you must make sure that the size is at least 2 centimeters to 1 kilometer. It must be done in color, and you must laminate it. It's really, really important that you know where you are and you can see that easily. And if you print your map too small, you won't be able to see. Okay. On our YouTube, we explain to you how to mark your maps, but you're going to mark every kilometer going down river, because probably you're going to go about 4 kilometers an hour. And then the important things like the locks, crucial, you know where the locks are, because they're going to take you longer to go by. There may be bridges. That's a really easy thing to see, because you know exactly where you are when you see the bridges. Depending on what your aim is, you might want to mark where you're going to do the activities that's part of your aim. But you need to come at the start of your expedition with your maps all marked. Okay. If you are borrowing, if you're using your own tent or your own stove, please practice in advance putting it up. If you're having a different tent from your practice expedition, practice it. Okay. If you're borrowing a tent or a stove from us, we're going to send you a link to how to put up a tent, and we'd like you to make sure that you look at that beforehand, and the same with how to use a stove. Because we want to make sure that both tents and stoves, you know how to do it, and you come prepared. Tents, every tent, if you're borrowing from us, will have 10 tent pegs. If you haven't got 10 tent pegs at the end, we'll need to charge you for that. And the same with the stove. You will have all the parts of the stove. Stoves are ridiculously expensive. Even the kettle is £10. It's silly money. But you obviously, if you don't hand back everything we've given you, you can't pass your expedition until we get some recompense for that. Okay. So on the day of the expedition, okay, some of you are coming to Huntingdon Riverside Car Park, and some are coming to Erith. Okay, that's on 2 different days. All right, you need to come prepared, because as soon as you arrive, you're going to get your canoe, you're going to get your barrels, you're going to get your buoyancy aid. So you need to have all your kit nicely organized. Right, so you can see this lot here. Got them in dry bags, so you can just go straight into the waterproof barrel. Okay, and they're all wearing their kit that they were going to travel with. They're going to paddle with. Okay, in your day bag, so that can just be a small rucksack, won't probably be waterproof, but you can put a plastic bag in there to help that What do you need? Your lunch for the day, your water. You'll probably put that under the elastics in the boat. Your sun cream, your sun hat, waterproof sun shirt. Check what the weather's doing. Your hand gel, your soap, and your plastic bowl. So that's all there. It's all the stuff you need for the day. You probably want your toilet paper handy as well, don't you? And make sure you arrive wearing your canoe kit. All right. Neither car parks have got toilets, okay, whether it's Huntington or the Hermitage car park. So you need to have gone to the toilet beforehand, and you do need to be wearing your kit when you arrive, because as soon as you arrive, you're going to be getting organized and getting on the water, and you're going to be going. Okay. Kit, again, on our YouTube. I know I keep going on about it, but it's just such a good resource. We've put there what to wear for different weather conditions. So have a look what the weather's doing. At the moment, next Friday is looking good. We're too far ahead to know what's happening the next week. But anyway, have a look. Depending on what the weather's doing, you bring the kit that you need. Okay. So some of you are going to come to Riverside car park in Huntingdon, and some of you are coming to the car park on Erith Road near Hermitage Lock. Both of them are interesting to find, okay? So have a look in advance, parents. Check it out on Google Earth. It's really clear both where both car parks are. You can use that Google Earth little man and zoom along the roads, and you can see exactly where it is. The timings we've given you are really important. Certainly those coming to Huntingdon. There's lots of different groups, and we split you up by 20 minutes so we can then get each group sorted before the next one arrives. So if you arrive early, unless you can sort yourself out, don't come and hassle us. Just meet together as a group, then at your time, then we can then come and help you. But it certainly is beautiful at Huntingdon earlier today, and it's a lovely, lovely bit of river, as is the next bit down. So those of you starting at Huntingdon, you're going to go from Huntingdon down through various locks through to Erith, okay? We will support you going through the locks. You need to be over 18 to go through the locks, but apart from that, you're on your own. So you are self-sufficient going the whole way down. You will then go through Hermitage Lock, and then you will end up, which is where you go from above sea level down below sea level, and you're going on to the Old West, which used to flow east. Amazing bit of local history there. And you will then be camping at Flatbridge Farm, okay? The other group, okay, if you're starting at Erith, the first thing you're going to do is to go through Hermitage Lock, and you will then go past Flatbridge Farm, which is where the others will have camped. On the second day, those of you who start at Huntingdon, you'll go down the Old West, Vast Stretton, and all the way up to Upware, which is where those starting at Erith, that's going to be your first day. Hopefully this is clear as mud anyway. And then for the first lot, your second night will be at Duckett's Farm, and you can see it's a beautiful campsite looking right over the river. For those of you starting in Erith, this will be your first night, okay? The next day, those of you who started in Huntingdon, you'll end up going up the River Cam to Waterbeach through a few more locks, okay? You go through Bottisham Lock, and then you will end up going into Chesterton, okay? And you will then end at Chesterton. But your end point is only when everything is all sorted and the boats are off the roof and all the rest, the boats are back on the roof and your barrels are cleared and your paddles are all sorted. We've already given you the time. So we've split you in two groups, the different times at which you'll be arriving. So there's no need for parents to communicate with us. That's the time they will be ready to leave, parents, okay? Those of you who started at Erith, you're going to go from Upware down the river to Littleport via Ely, and you go down the section with the Oxford-Cambridge boat race took part on, and you're just going to pray that wind's behind you. Otherwise, it's a really tough journey. But you end up at the beautiful Millennium Wood campsite, which is where you can have fires. So that's really nice. Some of you I know have camped there already. It's a beautiful campsite, just because you can have fires, and it's all surrounded by trees and all the rest of it. So that's lovely. You will then end Wissington Beak Factory, where some of you have been already. But it's for both groups, all right? It's only when you have got to the end and the paddles are back in the trailer and the buoyancy aids are sorted and we've got the mat boards in and the barrels are all dry and clean and the boats are back on the trailer, and you've been debriefed And it's only then at that point that we will say, congratulations, you've passed, well done, thank you, fantastic, what a delight to have you with us. Then you can phone your parents if they're not there already. Hopefully parents, they will be there, because they will know what time, because we've told them what time and we've told you what time, right? And we will remind you that, for those of you who've forgotten that bit of the story. Okay, so that's great. So just a few rules, you know them, they're the same as before. If you've got your if you're near the water, on the boats, your buoyancy aid is on and it is done up. Okay, we don't want your buoyancy aids come up and hitting you in your chin. If you're going to cool off, and let's hope you are, I'm about to go for a swim after this, and I think this will be my 5th swim of the day. I'm not very good with this heat, so as soon as I can get into water, I will do. But when you're cooling off, you keep your buoyancy aids on, and there's somebody on the side. And you know the reason for that is because if somebody gets into trouble, we need somebody on the side who'll be able to help them. Normal school rules apply. So obviously no drinking, no smoking, or no illegal drugs. Okay, if there is, then we'll just phone your parents and you will go home. Okay, we can't have that on expedition. Okay, so they're the only rules, quite standard, I think. Okay, mobile phones. Okay, you only use your mobile phones to communicate with Rod and me. Parents, if you need to get hold of your son or daughter, then ring Rod or I and we can help you out there. And we are asking you to put your grid reference app onto the phone so that in case of emergency, you can use that and know exactly where you are. Okay, some people have asked about what 3 words, but actually what 3 words has got some real question marks about their accuracy. You are doing your DofE, so therefore you need to be able to use the grid references. Okay, we do put lots of photos on Joy of Adventure. In fact, if you look there now, you'll see I was on the river this morning, and there's I think it's a beautiful little section that I filmed going down, and hopefully that will inspire you. You can also look back a couple of weeks and you'll see maybe people that you know who did their assessed exhibition in half term. So you'll be able to see them doing that. And we'll also put photos of your expedition if you've given us permission to do that. So parents can see that as well. Okay. So what do you need to remember? Okay, so don't forget to mark your map, get your map sorted. Okay, sort out your kit, make sure it's in separate bags so it's easy to put into your blue bags when you finish the blue barrels. Sort out your aim. Do you need to get a camera? Do you need to get an oxygen tester for the water? Do you need to organize a group? What activities you're doing? Are you doing yoga? Are you doing group work? What are you doing? Okay, get your water sorted. Okay, have at least 2 litres. Practice using your stove or putting up your tent if you've got your own. If you're borrowing one of ours, then please make sure that you look at the films that we're going to send you. Plan your food. Eat food you enjoy. Okay, that's what it's about. You often have lots of time at the campsite. It's light for ages. Certainly those of you who are stopping at Millennium Wood, you can have a fire there, so bring things to light and put in the fire. But also check the weather. At the moment, the weather looks like it's getting better for next Friday. It's horrible up until then, but next Friday is looking good, which is a relief. Those of you coming in July, you'll just have to see. It's too far ahead for the forecasters to know what's happening in July. So that's the things not to forget. What I'm going to do now is see if we've got anything in the chat box, or if any of you've got questions, then do put them into the chat box. Nothing in the chat box yet. So if you've not got any questions, really, that's good news. That means I've answered them all. But if anyone has got any questions, either email them to me or ask them now.